All right, today we're going to continue with some more coordinate grid planar geometry or plane geometry. Starting off with some angle relationships. Here we go. All right. One very special type of angle relationship are supplementary angles. Here's the definition of supplementary angles. Write it down as I am. Supplementary angles are angles whose sum are 180 degrees. It's a pair of angles whose sum is 180 degrees. Another special type of angle relationship are complementary angles. And those are pairs whose sum is 90 degrees. We're also going to talk about vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. Let me show you an example of some vertical angles. Two lines intersect. Those right angles, those are vertical angles, and they are congruent to each other. And then we've got some alternate interior angles. And alternate interior angles are also congruent. So if we have two parallel lines with a line intersecting them, here are some alternate interior angles. And lastly, let's talk about alternate exterior angles. They are also congruent. And again, if we have two parallel lines and a line intersecting them, here's some alternate exterior angles would look like that. They are congruent to each other. All right, so let's do some work with these relationships. Let's name two pairs of vertical angles. Angle A and angle D are a pair of vertical angles, and angle C and angle B are a pair of vertical angles. So A and D are vertical angles, C and B are vertical angles, and if they are vertical angles, then they are congruent. So in other words, angle A is congruent to angle D, and angle C is congruent to angle B. Let's name four pairs of supplementary angles. All right, any linear pair is supplementary. They're going to add up to 180 degrees. So here we go, angle A and angle B and angle D, angle D and angle C, and angle C and angle A. Okay, so A and B are supplementary because they're a linear pair. That means they add up to 180 degrees. B and D are supplementary because they're a linear pair. D and C are supplementary because they're a linear pair. And C and A are supplementary because they are a linear pair. When you put them next to each other, they form a straight line. In fact, they're doing it right now. All right, and then lastly, if the measure of angle A is 110 degrees, then what are the measures of angles that should say BC and D. If angle A is 110, then angle B would be 70 because they have to add up to 180. They're supplementary. Angle D, or C, I'm sorry, would also need to be 70 because they're supplementary, linear pair. And angle D would be 110 degrees for a couple of reasons. Number one, because vertical angles are always congruent. And number two, because D should be supplementary with C, and it should also be supplementary with B. All right, let's move on. Which angle is the complement of angle G? Complement means it is a complementary angle, meaning when you add it to angle G, it should equal 90 degrees, and that would be angle F. We know that because if this is 90, then the other two angles in the triangle should add up to 90 as well. So 90 between these two plus 90 for the right angle, that's 180 degrees in a triangle. So no matter what G is, G plus F is is 90 degrees. So they are complements of one another, or complementary angles, a pair of complementary angles. E, which angle is the supplement of angle G? In other words, when added to angle G, it'll give us 180 degrees. That is angle H. Okay, it's a linear pair again. So angle H is a supplement of angle G. They are supplementary angles. And if the measure of angle H is 130 degrees, then what are the measures of G and F? H is 130. So G is supplementary to it. So it should be 50 degrees. And F should be 30, I'm sorry. That's wrong. I almost did it again too. Let's fix that. F should be 90, correct? No, I'm sorry, 40. Because G and F should add up to 90 degrees. So 50 plus 40 is 90. There we go. Last couple bits of information here. Which angle corresponds to angle F? Which angle corresponds to angle F? That would be angle B. Those are corresponding angles. So F and B are corresponding angles. H and D are corresponding angles. G and C are corresponding angles. A and E are corresponding angles. Name two pairs of alternate interior angles. Well, there's only two pairs up there, so they are angle C and F and angle D and E. C and F are alternate interior. D and E are alternate interior. What's special about alternate interior angles? They are congruent. Name two pairs of alternate exterior. Spelled exterior wrong. Now I spelled it correctly. Name two pairs of alternate exterior angles. Again, there's only two pairs given that are alternate exterior angles. Angle A and H are alternate exterior angles, and angle B and G are alternate exterior angles. A and H, B and G. And what's special about alternate exterior angles, of parallel lines that is, they are congruent to one another. And lastly, if the measure of angle A is 105, what is the measure of angle F? A is 105. Well, there's a couple ways to look at this. C must be 75 because they're supplementary angles, and C should be congruent to F because they're alternate interior angles, so F should be 75 degrees. There's other ways to go about it too. We could say that B is 75 degrees because A and B should be supplementary, add up to 180 degrees. And then we could say that F is 75 degrees. We did not list complementary angles on the first slide, but maybe we should, because what is true about complementary angles? They are congruent. Let's do that real quick. Complementary angles, are congruent. Okay. And what are complementary angles? And this is only for parallel lines, by the way. Complementary angles would be like this one and this one. Those are complementary angles, and they are congruent. All right, that's all I got for you today. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.